Hello YouTube, and welcome to the next German routes learning video. On today's video I'm going to be driving a short high-speed run between Mannheim and Karlsruhe on the Rhine Railway Mannheim to Karlsruhe add-on, which is a distance of just under 60 kilometers. This will be a non-stop run in an ICE 3 with speed limits of up to 280 kilometers per hour. The scenario which I'm using for this video is one which comes with the route. It's a career scenario called Southbound to Karlsruhe. The ICE 3 electric multiple units have been in service since the year 2000 and were manufactured by Siemens. They are part of the Valero family of electric multiple units, and a total of 50 ICE 3 units have been constructed, formed of 8 coaches per train. They are operated by the German rail operator Deutsche Bahn, and the length of each coach is 25.83 meters for the cab car and 24.78 meters for the intermediate coaches. The maximum speed of these units in service is 320 kilometers per hour, which is around 199 miles per hour, and the maximum design speed of these units is 330 kilometers per hour, which is around 205 miles per hour. The weight of each unit is 409 tons, and they have a power output of 11,000 horsepower, giving a maximum continuous tractive effort of 61,000 pounds of force, or 270 kilonewtons. They are capable of running on the 15 kilovolt AC overhead electrification system, with another variant of the ICE 3 being the ICE 3M, being also capable of running on the 1.5 kilovolt DC electrification system, as well as the 3 kilovolt DC electrification system. Once in the cab of the ICE 3, the first thing that I'm going to do is put it into forward, so if I just press the W key, it is now in forward. The next thing that I'm going to do is turn on the CIFA system and also the PZB system. So to turn on the CIFA system, I need to press Shift and numpad enter, and you can see in the top right corner there it now says CIFA safety system enabled, and if I now press Control and numpad enter, it will then turn on the Lzb Signalling system. However, for the majority of this journey we're actually going to be travelling under Lzb mode, which means for the most part I'm going to be more of a passenger than a driver, due to the way that the train auto drives and manages the speed changes by itself on the Lzb sections. Now, just to go through some of the cab controls briefly, so if we have a look over here, you can see that we have 2 controls, the AFB control on the left, which I'm now going to increase with the Y key to match the current speed limit, which is 50 kilometers per hour. So that's now set at around 50 kilometers per hour there. And then just to the right of that, we actually have the throttle control there. And so I'm going to use the throttle to bring us up to speed, but for the most part, once we're moving and we're under Lzb mode, I won't really need to touch the throttle control much until we're approaching Karlsruhe at the other end of the route. You may have noticed at the start that the headlights are already switched on, so I don't need to do anything with the headlights on this unit. Now, just over here to the right hand side, you can see in front of us there the brake handle, which is graduated, so you can see that there are different steps of braking. However, I'm not going to need to use that much on this journey either, again because of the automatic driving under Lzb Signalling. Now, if we look up here, you can see there's a computer display on the right hand side there, which also shows you how hard the brakes are applied. So you can see as I apply the brakes more, that the blue bar on the left hand side of the screen is falling, and the further that falls, then the harder the brakes are actually applied. I would normally try to not go above 4 on this brake gauge here. If you do, then I think you're probably braking slightly too hard. Now, just to have a look in the middle here, you can see on the right hand side the speedometer measured in kilometers per hour. You can also see the red bug on the outside, which I moved a minute ago, which is the AFB bug, and that's just telling you how fast the train is set to travel at. Now, the display in the middle, which is just to the left of the speedometer, is to do with the Lzb Signalling system. This actually shows you the distance to the next speed change. There will actually be a green bar there which will go up, and if it's at the highest point there, 4,000 4,000, then that is indicating 4,000 meters or 4 kilometers to the next speed change. However, there is also a digital readout of the distance to the next speed change, which will be in the black box you can see just above that display. Now that will read up as far as 9,900 meters or 9.9 kilometers, which is around 6.5 miles, something like that. And then above that, if the speed change is further away than that, then it won't actually register the upcoming speed limit. So now that we've had a quick look around the cab, I'm just going to demonstrate the horn with the spacebar key. And then we're just going to have a look at a couple more external shots of the outside of the train before departing towards Karlsruhe. Departing Mannheim, the starting speed limit is 50 km per hour, and we've got 59.8 km to go to our next and only stop, which is Karlsruhe. We are currently under restricted monitoring, which means that the 70 and 85 lamp are illuminating, which you can see there. I'm going to remove us from that now, as we don't need to be in the restricted monitoring state at this point, as we don't currently have any adverse signals against us. Unfortunately, there is quite a noticeable lag on departure from Mannheim, and this seems to be completely unavoidable. It was even worse on my old PC, to the extent that I didn't feel I could even record a video on this route. So it's definitely running better on here than it was on the previous machine, but the lag is completely unavoidable in this area. As we depart from Mannheim though, and we get further away and the speed limits increase further, then the lag does get noticeably less, to the point where it should run pretty smooth for the majority of the journey to Karlsruhe. So we're just passing there a speedboard indicating an increase in the speed limit to 100 km per hour. We can accelerate towards that shortly after entering this right-hand curve just here. So I've just pulled the throttle back slightly so the train doesn't lurch forward violently as I increase the AFB setting. So I've now increased that to 100 km per hour, and I'm now giving us some power to accelerate up towards that. I am now in full power, bringing our speed up quite nicely. Very shortly we will be entering the Lzb Signalling section, and then the speed limit will be immediately going up to 190 km per hour, which is around 118 miles per hour. At this point I'm just cutting the power back once again, as I know that we will shortly be entering the LZB mode, and as soon as we do I then want to increase the AFB setting so that the train will accelerate up towards 190 km per hour. As you can see, LZB signalling has now been enabled, so I'm just going to move the AFB handle all of the way to full so that we can then accelerate to all of these speed limits along here. As you can see at this point, the distance measuring equipment there is showing 4,700 meters at present to the next speed change, which will be an increase in the speed limit to 250 kilometers per hour. We're now passing a very large yard on the left, which I believe is just a large freight yard, and then in a short distance we will be entering quite a long tunnel. I'm not sure what the name of the tunnel is, but I'm going to try and see if I can look it up and put the information about the tunnel in a caption on this video. We're now entering the long tunnel, which I mentioned a moment ago, and about halfway through this tunnel is where the speed limit increases to 250 km per hour. with the speed limit increasing further to 280 kilometers per hour on the exit of this tunnel. As we're now approaching the next speed limit increase, I'm just pulling the power handle back a bit, again just to make sure that the train doesn't lurch forward too violently as the speed change comes into force. So now the speed change has come into force, I've now put the power handle back up to full power to bring our speed back up towards the new speed limit of 250 kilometers per hour, which is just, I think it's just under 155 miles per hour. I had originally planned to do this, or release a video just before Christmas, which would have been the Newcastle to Edinburgh run along the Just Trains route, but unfortunately it's taking a bit longer than I originally anticipated to get the scenario put together in the scenario editor, but I have actually been working on that scenario. And so I'm hoping to get it up just after Christmas instead of just before. I am going away from today just for 3 days and I'll be back on the 27th. And so then when I'm back I'm going to be looking at trying to do the Newcastle to Edinburgh route learning video. And in addition to that I've also got a Class 90 train guide in the pipeline. But for now I just wanted to get one more video up before Christmas, and so this is the video that I've chosen. And at this point I'd really just like to take the opportunity to wish you all a very happy Christmas. I really do hope that you all have a great time whatever you're doing over this Christmas period. As you can see, we're now accelerating nicely towards 280 kilometers per hour. At this point we're doing around 265, and the AFB system should hold us at just below 280, around 276 to 277, so it'll probably be doing around 172 to 173 miles per hour. The speed limits on this route make it the fastest journey that I've so far covered in a video. Coming up somewhere along here in a moment is Hockenheim Station. We won't actually be able to see Hockenheim Station because it's going to be hidden behind the wall, which is just on our left hand side there. I think it's just coming up around now, in fact. I think that might be the top of the station. You can just see on the left, just behind the wall there. So the noise you just heard is an indication that the distance measurement equipment has now detected the next speed change is less than 10 kilometers away, and you can see that the distance is quickly falling on that display for an upcoming 200 km per hour speed restriction. We're now coming up on Lzb Station. Within the next 2 kilometers or so, the train will start braking automatically for the upcoming 200 km per hour speed restriction. I'm actually going to just pull the throttle back slightly because we don't need it to be so high at this point. Now I'm just waiting for the train to start auto braking. I will say that I have observed that the train doesn't actually brake very smoothly. You can see that the red G light has now come on, the power has cut out, and now the brakes are starting to be applied automatically by the train. If you look at the brake gauge on the computer display there, you can see that the blue bar on the left keeps going up and down, indicating that the train is sort of fanning the brakes, and it's actually not causing the train to decelerate very smoothly at all, unlike what I'd expect it to do in real life. So I'm going to assume that that's to do with the way that the LZB and AFB systems have been programmed in Train Simulator. So the speed limit is going to drop to 200 km per hour just before we cross a junction where we diverge to the right to turn towards Karlsruhe, whereas the line that we diverge from is the line which is heading towards Stuttgart. So the Stuttgart line is now going directly ahead of us on, it looks like, a climb there, whereas we're actually now diverging away from that, and we're going to join the lines towards Karlsruhe, though I'm not sure where they actually come from the other direction. As you can see at this point, the distance measurement equipment indicates that the next speed change is over 9.9 kilometers away, so we're going to be travelling at 200 kilometers per hour for a little while now. 200 kilometers per hour is just below 125 miles per hour. It's 123 to 124 roughly. We will shortly be passing through Raben-Neudorf station, and at this point we've got 21 kilometers to go. Another route which I plan on covering in a video soon is the new Semmeringbahn route, which has been made by Dovetail Games. I actually purchased that last night along with 4 new German locos. I'm hoping to be able to get a little bit more in the Steam sale yet. I'm hoping to get as many German locos as I can, particularly so that I can play even more scenarios. I've been finding on the Steam Workshop there's been a number of scenarios which I haven't been able to play due to just having like 1 or 2 pieces of DLC missing. So I'm really trying to complete my collection so that I can play a much better selection of German scenarios than I've been able to up to this point. And it means you're going to see more German routes learning videos in the future on this channel. We're now passing Friedrichsthal, Baden. We've now got the distance equipment showing us on the LZB system there that there is a 140 km/h speed limit, which is less than 10 kilometers away. In fact, it's currently 9 kilometers away. We're now passing through Friedrichsthal Mitte. We're now passing through Blankenloch Station. Very shortly the LZB and AFB systems will kick in to start slowing us down for the upcoming 140 km/h speed limit. I think it's going to do it when we're around 2 kilometers away, though I could be wrong. It could be slightly further than that. We're now at the 2 kilometer marker for the upcoming speed restriction, and the train is now starting to brake for the speed limit. We're now passing through Karlsruhe Hagsfeld Station. So we're now down to 140 km/h, and as you can probably see there, in less than 4 kilometers now, the speed limit will be falling further to 40 km/h. At this point I'm just reducing the power a bit, and then at the 40 km/h speed restriction the LZB mode will end, and we're then going to be running under PZB mode. I'm going to have to control the speed manually. So what I'm going to do is, just as we start slowing down for the upcoming 40 speed restriction, I'm then going to idle the power and allow the train to coast at that point. And then as we pass the signal for the 40 speed restriction, then you will see that the AFB bug on the outside of the speedometer will jump massively due to the position that I've got the AFB lever in at present. And so that's why I want to cut off the power, or else we'd suddenly start accelerating again. And then once we've passed that and the AFB bug has jumped so high, I'm then going to reduce it back to 40 km/h. As you can see, we're now slowing down at this point for the upcoming 40 speed restriction. So I've now idled the power completely, and you'll see what I mean in a moment, whereas once we pass the signal there, the bug will jump to around 320 km/h, something like that. And then I'm just going to move that back to 40, and then apply a little bit of power once again, just to ensure that we've got enough power to bring us into Karlsruhe Station. There's now another large freight yard on the left hand side. You can just see the container wagons there. I'm now going to start bringing the speed set handle down. I brought it down about halfway there. I'm just going to wait now just to see at what position it's in, so that I can continue to reduce it a bit further once we enter the 40 km/h speed zone, which is just as we pass under this signal here. The AFB is now set to 40 km/h. I'm just now going to give us a very low amount of power, just to ensure that we maintain this speed. Although the track speed limit here is 60 km/h, the signal is dictating that our speed limit for this point is in fact 40 km/h, and the speed limit is not going to go up for the rest of the journey into Karlsruhe station. As we enter the platform here, I'm then just going to idle the power, as the train should be able to coast to the stopping point without any difficulty. I'm aiming to stop next to the H sign, which is just beyond the main platform roof you can see coming up now. At this point I'm just going to apply the lowest notch of braking to bring our speed down a bit, and then release, as we would have stopped too early there. And so I'm just going to really fan the brakes from this point to bring us down to a slower speed, so I can come to a controlled stop next to the sign. You can see the H sign now just coming up on the left hand side, and so I should now be stopping in about the right place. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really do hope that you have enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, please don't forget that you can find me on Facebook for the latest updates, the link of which is in the description of this video. I just want to say I wish you all a very happy Christmas, and thank you for watching.